Hey everybody, welcome back to my coverage for the PogChamps 3 tournament. This is the BenjyFishy versus Sardoche match, one of the most anticipated matches of the group stage. BenjyFishy is leading 1-0. If you missed the first game, you can check it out up there in the info card. Come back, watch this video. So yes, Sardoche, the rating favorite, the favorite to win this match. He does need to win this second game to take the match to an Armageddon. Will he be able to do it? Let's find out. He does have the white pieces. We've seen him play the Grob. We've seen him play Queen's Pawn. So what will he start off with? Benji has said that he's prepared against the Grob. And the Grob is a dubious opening. So Sardoche starts with D4. We do not have a Grob from Sardoche this time. We have D5 from Benji and now Bishop F4 going for a London system from Sardoche. We have E6 and now E3. Continuing that London system setup, we have Knight F6, Knight F3, and now Bishop D6 from Benji. Bishop back to G3, just protecting it with so Sardoche can capture with this H pawn if Benji would like to trade and not ruin his pawn structure by having to capture with the E pawn. We have B6 from Benji and Knight BD2 from Sardoche. Bishop A6 from Benji, and here Sardoche can trade bishops and force Benji to bring his knight to the rim. This is a totally acceptable trade, but if you don't want to go for it, it's also possible to play the move which Sardoche played, which is C4. So he wants to hang on to his light squared bishop, bring it to D3 likely, and use it for a kingside attack later in the game is what he's saying with this C4 move. We have C5 from Benji and now Bishop D3 from Sardoche. We have castles and Bishop H4. Now pinning this knight to this queen. Oops, not like that, but you know what I meant to do. We have Bishop E7 from Benji and now castles from Sardoche. We have Knight C6 just completing development, and both players have played the opening very well so far, so congratulations to both of them for that. We have Knight E7 and Queen C7 from Benji, and this is really the first mistake of the game because it actually allows a very long and forcing tactical sequence from Sardoche, which can give him a favorable position, starting with Knight takes C6. And after Queen takes C6, we would first have Bishop takes F6. And after Bishop takes F6, we now have C takes D5. And this is the tactic, a discovered attack on the bishop, and also you're hitting this queen with the pawn. It's important that you make this trade on F6 first too, because if you immediately go for C takes D5, now there's Knight takes D5 and there's a discovered attack on this bishop, and this bishop is also hanging, so the tactic just doesn't work out here. You have to trade Bishop takes F6 first. Bishop takes F6 and C takes D5. Black can actually save the piece though with E takes D5, and after Bishop takes A6, Black can play B5 now, trapping the bishop. However, after Rook C1 and Queen takes A6, regaining the piece, Rook takes C5, Queen takes A2, Queen A1, Queen takes A1, Rook takes A1, and A6 now defending the B pawn, and Rook takes D5. White ends up a pawn and with this passed D pawn, and this will be a good position for White to play. So Sardoche could have gone for this after Queen C7. However, that tactical sequence is very long, so it's no surprise that Sardoche missed it, and he instead played Bishop G3. We have Bishop D6 from Benji, and this allows another tactical sequence from Sardoche, starting with C takes D5, and the idea here is after Bishop takes D3, so this was a discovered attack, you're also attacking this knight, so Benji would be forced to trade here, and Knight takes D3, Bishop takes G3, and H takes G3, and Knight takes D5. Sorry, I chess dyslexia, guys. White can now win a pawn here with D takes C5, and B takes C5, Knight takes C5. White will just be up a pawn here. So White could have won a pawn like this with C takes D5, but instead we have Knight DF3 from Sardoche, just centralizing this knight, supporting this knight on E5. We have D takes C4 from Benji, Knight takes C4, and now Bishop takes G3, H takes G3, and this bishop trade from Black is It's actually very good, I think, for black. It does introduce some ideas of putting this knight on g4. This knight is actually has a lot of potential with this g4 square later on in the game. There could be some checkmating ideas on h7 if the queen could somehow get over to the king side. And also, it's kind of hard to kick this knight away from g4 now because you can't play h3. And if you ever play f3, then the e-pawn will drop in a lot of cases. So yeah, I do think that this trade, taking this bishop on g3, was very favorable for black here. We have rook a d8 and bishop e2 from Benjy. So rook a d8, this was just pressuring this c-pawn. However, Sardoche decides to defend it by backing up his bishop and defending with the queen. However, this is actually a mistake. Here a better move for Sardoche would have been rook c1. Oops, not like that, but rook c1. And this doesn't directly defend the c-pawn, but now if black tries to go for this, c takes d4, white has this move, knight c e5, and now you notice that the knight is pinned to the queen. So after a sequence like bishop b7, white defends. First you trade once, knight takes c6, bishop takes c6, and now you recapture on d4, and you cannot defend this bishop again. So black would have to sack the rook for the knight, and white would be up in exchange here. So this would be very good for white. So yeah, rook c1, you could have defended this c-pawn with rook c1. Bishop e2 does not work out really because now black has this move, c takes d4, and after e takes d4, bishop takes c4, bishop takes c4, and knight takes d4, discovered attack on the bishop, so you don't have time to take back. After a move like rook c1, black will be up a pawn, and this would be very good for black. So this is how Benjy could have taken advantage of Sardoche's bishop e2 mistake. However, we have e5 from Benjy, so Sardoche will continue. This game will continue on. We have knight c takes e5 now, and bishop takes e2, queen takes e2, c takes d4, and now knight takes c6. This c takes d4 move is actually a huge blunder by Benjy because this allows Sardoche to either pin this knight to the queen with queen c4 or also rook c1. Either rook or the queen can pin. And if black brings another defender on the knight, we just attack it once again. And you cannot defend this knight again, so it will be lost. Sardoche could have won a piece here, been a piece up, and gone on to get a very easy and clean win against Benjy. But we have this immediate knight takes c6. Sardoche just goes after this pawn. He decides, it's a pawn. I'm just going to take the pawn up and, fight for the rest of the game. So we have knight takes c6, queen takes c6, and knight takes d4, and now Sardoche is up a pawn. We have queen b7 and rook f to d1, just getting that rook on the open file. Rook d7, Benjy prepares to double up, and rook d3, Sardoche does the same. Rook f d8 and rook a d1, both players double up, and we have knight e4. Definitely a good square for the knight, like this g4 idea that I was mentioning earlier. You can't bring the knight to g4 right now, obviously, because the queen covers the square, but the e4 square has many similar perks. You can't play f3 because it drops the g-pawn, and you don't have a d-pawn to kick away this knight. So knight e4, definitely a very good spot for the knight. We have queen e1 from Sardoche. I think what he's planning here is he can play f3, and then the queen defends the g-pawn diagonally. But we have knight c5 from Benjy attacking this rook, so first Sardoche has to save his rook, which he does. We have h6 from Benjy, and now f3 from Sardoche. Queen a6 from Benjy, just going after this a-pawn, and here Sardoche plays knight c6, attacking this d-rook, so he is up a pawn. He is looking to get those trades, which Benjy is fine with here because he does earn a pawn in the end. So we have rook takes d2, rook takes d2, trading the second pair of rooks now with rook takes d2 again, and after queen takes d2, Benjy picks up a pawn with queen takes a2. However, you have to be really, really, really careful here as Benjy because of Sardoche's next move, queen d8 check, and after king h7 and knight e7, which Sardoche actually played, there is a mate threat on g8, and there's actually only one way to save this mate threat, and that is to move the f-pawn. You can play f6 or f5. F5 would just drop the pawn though, so you would want to play f6 here. However, this is a really difficult move to see. And Sardoche here, or sorry, Benjy here, he thought for a while, and he ended up playing h5. And this looks like it saves the day because the king can escape to h6. However, this actually still leads to checkmate after queen g8 check, king h6. Now queen h8 check, the king has to move to g5, and now queen takes g7 will be checkmate. The pawns cover these squares, the knight covers this square, and the queen covers all of these squares. So this would have been checkmate, or this will be checkmate if Benjy does not find this f6 move, which he did not, with because he played h5 instead. Sorry for jumping around there. That was just a little mistake in the interface. So will Sardoche see this queen g8 checkmating sequence? He does play queen g8 check, and it looks like this match is going to an Armageddon after this quick little checkmate. We have king h6, and now queen takes f7, a huge blunder from Sardoche, not going for this checkmate in 2, instead going for this free pawn, which is not really free because it's defended by the queen. BenjyFish does see this, and he plays queen takes f7. And here Sardoche, he was just so disappointed on his webcam. You could tell he was very sad and disappointed in himself, which, if you've lost a chess game that you fought really hard to win and then you blunder at the end, you know, a lot of chess players know that feeling. So really sad for Sardoche. Here Sardoche, after he recouped himself, he resigned in this position. So BenjyFish takes the match 2-0, getting that upset, and he will be in the top seed going into the championship bracket. However, Sardoche also makes it to the championship bracket. Whoops, that's the schedule. Here are the standings for Group A. So the top 2 players, Sardoche and Benjy, both moving on to the championship bracket. Nico and Myth will be going to the constellation bracket. All Group A matches have been played now. So yeah, this match was probably my favorite match in the group stage so far. We still have a few more group stage matches, but this is looking like it may be my favorite match out of the group stage. Just very high quality chess from both players, and yeah, this was just a great match. So I don't think I have anything else to say. So check out my PogChamps 3 playlist for more PogChamps 3 recaps, and check the left side of the screen for another video. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any more chess videos. I do everything chess here, and I love you guys. Stay awesome, and I'll see you next time.